That was the wrong intro.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome in. Welcome
I
in.
love it. He
Welcome in.
comes on with the freaking cigarette. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of the Central Crown. I am Day Day. I will be the new host of the show, just based on if you guys have noticed from the past few episodes, I kind of just sit here because everybody knows I'm not the biggest Tigers fan in the world, even though next season I will try. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. Whoever wants to speak first, go first.
Richard, you can find me at Riggs928 on X.
I'm Chris. You can find me at Crazy Hockey Fan on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook, and I'm also on TikTok as well.
Well, I'm Day. You can find me on Twitter on Markham246. Welcome in, everybody. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the Tigers, obviously. We wouldn't call this the Central Crown if not. We're not going to talk about the best team in baseball, the Braves, tonight, but we'll talk about the Tigers instead. So, first topic tonight, I think we are going to talk about these guys. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the Tigers versus Cubs series? Chris, you go ahead and go first.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a rough series. We didn't get what we expected. We still played well. My overall opinion was it was like more of a. I think that was a transition period where we brought up the youth and we still had the veterans. So I think it was a learning curve day. I think that set us up for the next series.
If you inform some of the viewers what the record of the series was, in case some of them weren't able to tune in fully. Do you know what the series split was off the top of your guys' heads?
It was, yeah, you beat me to it, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rich,
won
your thoughts
one
on the series?
Yep.
I mean, they were close, but it was 1-2. But I mean, before that series and after the series, pretty solid. So I mean, you're gonna lose one series, and their records are comparable to ours. So I mean, it is what it is. You can't win them all. I mean, they're still doing great. I mean, they were still close. It's just no cigar.
Yeah, there was one blow each way, and then the very first game was 3-1. So it was a very close game either way, or series, I should say. But I mean, it's one of those series where like the best team for those 3 days took the day. I mean, that's just the way it is. You don't win them all. So we still played well. Once again, I think it was a trial period for some of the guys that had just recently been brought up.
Can you guys give the viewers any of some of the highlights, lowlights of the series? Who was the star of the series? Was it the bullpen this time? Was it the hitting? Was there a specific guy that shined this whole series? Or was it just a valiant team effort the whole series?
A valiant losing effort.
What did you say?
A valiant losing effort.
A valiant losing effort. I mean, it was I'll tell you, like this is where Torque came into play. That's for sure. He actually had a really good. He had a couple of really good games through that. He actually went 4 for 4 in one of the games. So that was really impressive for him coming back from being called up. So yeah,
He's
he did
actually
really well.
got 7. I just seen it because he just homered in this game.
Yeah, I
He had
saw
a
that.
2-run homer. He's got 7 extra base hits
Um,
in 11 games since he's been back.
He's got what?
7 extra base hits in 11 games that he's been back.
Yeah, he's got.
He's a totally different person.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to talk about him later, though.
Yep. Let's slow down a little bit on the torque.
Yeah,
talk. We're definitely going to get into him this episode for sure.
Yeah, this was definitely the good player through that series was Spencer Torkelson, believe it or not. Even though I was always a naysayer, but yeah, he did well through that. Him and Colt Keith actually did really well that series.
Oh, you have a lot. I mean, we'll get into him more because I know some of your viewpoints on Torque just based off what we've said, and a lot of your viewpoints are correct based on where he was drafted. So I can agree with that. Anything else on the Tigers Cubs series?
Not really. I mean, just an up and down series. That's all.
Okay. Let's see here. The next topic I believe we want to talk about tonight, if I can get the program here to work, are possibly the worst team in baseball. You guys played them as well. It would be the Tigers versus the White Sox. Oh, any thoughts on the series between you guys and the worst team in baseball, the Chicago White Sox?
I mean, we did what we should have did. We swept them.
It's always nice.
We got a Monday, the 4th game of the series. Ty Madden did. He pitched. We're going to talk about him here soon, so I won't say too much on that. But I mean, if this is teaching me anything, it's the young guys, man, they're leading the way, and the veterans are falling in where they should. But this is a young player team. I mean, there's no secret.
Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm going back to the series, and yeah, I mean, that's what's pushing us right now is the young guys. I noticed that Matt Vierling actually had a really good series through the White Sox. He did really well. I'm noticing Colt Keith once again did well. Spencer Torkelson, but I think Matt Vierling was one of our better hitters through the White Sox. He's hot. Yeah, he's doing real well right now. So he had a really good series. I have to give kudos to the pitching staff because I mean they're not the best team in the league, but we only allowed 4 runs or less for every game. So it went 2, 4, 4, 3. So I mean we averaged like 3 runs giving up throughout the whole series. So that, I mean, pitchers did well, bullpen did well.
Tyler
Holt
Holt
that you guys beat up on that has 100 losses on the season already. They are, from what I've heard, they are more games behind in the standings than they have won this year.
Yeah, they're like 44 games behind or something like that.
And they only have 33. Well, as of that, when you guys played them in the series, they only had 33 wins on the season.
They only have 31. They only have 31 right now.
Oh, excuse me. I misread it. Yeah, 31. They're 31 and 101 is what I've got. Was the last thing that I see.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah, they
any
might.
Highlights or any lowlights from the series? Any specific player you want to target in that series, like we did with the Cubs series, or just another?
I mean, like I said, Vierling was like probably the most consistent hitter in the series. I don't recall any like goof ups or anything like that. Did you happen to remember any defensive lapses or anything like that?
No, I think what's his name? McKinstry did a few things.
Your boy. That's your boy.
I like the kid, man, because I think he just does all the little things you ask from a guy. Every team has a player. I mean, it could be a pitcher for baseball, and it's usually a pitcher, and our pitcher would be Tyler Holton, and our position player would be McKinstry. Guys who just do all the little stuff. Anything you ask of them, they're going to do. Holton, he'll start a game one night, and then the very next night, he'll be closing. And it could be your 4, 5, and 6 hitters. He's a lefty, but it don't matter if it's righties. Like, dude is 5 for 5 in saves. But he's also started like 3 games in a week or open, like he's got like a rubber arm. McKinstry, you can steal a base with him. He's been getting clutch hits, play any position you ask of him. Like, it's just –
No, I do recall 2 errors that we had the last game, though. I do remember that. We gave up a couple of runs. That's when I was holding my breath because I was like, here we go. We're gonna lose the last game of the season. But they pulled it all together.
So, who would you say was the MVP of that series?
Veerling.
Yeah,
Veerling.
Yeah.
Veerling. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to segue into our next topic. Now, as many as you Tigers fans may know, you guys have not been at 500 this late in the season in a very long time. I believe this is the latest you guys have been at 500 since, I want to believe, the 2016 season, if I'm correct. No, my house is not on fire. There's not smoke in my house being on fire. I see it coming up here.
Smoke machine.
Yeah. This is just my inner body temperature burning up because I have to sit here and talk about the Tigers instead of the Braves. But anyway, we'll save that for another time.
It's the ambiance. It's the ambiance of the area.
So, with that being said, y'all have finally hit 500. This late in the season, who do you say is to blame? Success? How do you guys feel about being 500 finally this late in the season? Rich, your thoughts?
I mean, it's been the first time in 8 years. I personally, I do like all 4 major sports, but football is my number one. Pro Lions in Michigan, but then I love the Tigers. I love watching baseball. I try to catch as many games as possible. Which I mean, I don't watch every single one, being 162, but I try to get 3/4 of them. But anyway, so it's real fun to be able to still be intrigued, be in tune, because for the last 8 years, it's like, come on, football. Like, I'm ready for this, I'm tired of this.
Usually you're almost like tuned out by now, almost.
Correct.
Okay.
So to still be in it, that's interesting. That's exciting. Also, the young guys, and that's the thing too is, usually at this point of the year with September call-ups and everything, like, that is the interest at this time of the year for the last 8 years is seeing the young guys. But now it's seeing the young guys and seeing a good team. It's been exciting, man. And I still plan on I'm going to go until we go out, man. Hopefully we see we're 5.5 games out of the last wild card. Like, let's hope, man.
Chris, your thoughts?
Well, I've seen.
You've been watching the Tigers since like the Al Kaline days, so I had to. Come on now.
I'm gonna respectfully recast my vote for you being the host.
Sorry, guys. This is the last time I host because of that comment.
Just kidding. No, it's I've seen the Tigers win the World Series. I've been around, but I like it. You could feel the excitement. It's kind of building a little bit. I mean, we have a good, promising future. We've got I mean, we've got young talent. We're 5.5 games out. Hopefully, if we can win tonight, we can get back. We can get to 5 out because one of the teams lost tonight. We'll be tied with Seattle. But I mean, I think between now and next week, by the time we hit next week, we'll have a clear-cut idea as to what of our real chances are to make the playoffs. But I like the excitement and feeling about it.
Go ahead, Chris. Finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say after you, because I don't watch the Tigers, but I stay tuned into baseball, and I still kind of keep an eye on the Tigers because that's still my hometown team. So I'm still gonna kind of watch them. I noticed you guys started off very slow. Did you expect to be here at 500 with the way you guys started, and with the moves you guys made at the trade line of trading away one of your aces? Well, that's actually, you can't really say one of your aces because the ace is an ace. So one of your, better pitchers, the injuries that you guys have had, the struggles of Torkelson this year with him being sent back down to the minors. There's a lot of things that was stacked up against you guys this year. It looked like it was going to be another Tiger season where you're tuned out, by September. Did you guys expect to be here at 500 with the way you guys started?
I mean, I remember Mike was on his way out. It got really stringy there for a minute. I kept trying to stay in, being stubborn. Because, they were having, through a 7-day week, they'd have one game where they'd go for 13, 15 runs or 11 runs. And then they'd get 8 runs for the rest of the week. It was all the pitching injuries. It was the offense struggling, pitching, keeping us in the game. Bullpen was being overused, leverage situation. There was a lot going on. And we'll hit. I don't want to, touch on a subject we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but it was tough, man. It was tough. So it makes it extra special to see what we're seeing right now.
So go ahead, Chris. No, go ahead. I'm going to let you get your thoughts on this, and then I'm going to ask another question on this topic.
So from the beginning of the season through the middle part of the season to all the way till now, it's funny because I've listened to like a couple of the radio stations from Michigan. I've listened to people that are Michigan commentators and stuff like that. And it's funny how the ebb and flow of the season, how different radio station stuff try to stick with how they're not realistic. And at the beginning of the season, I actually did not have high hopes at all. And I still didn't, all the way up until probably we had that little streak just before the All-Star break. And that's when I started switching a little bit. Because when Torque was batting horribly, and we'll talk on him a little bit, and nobody was doing well, and we had terrible veterans that weren't playing well. It was touch and go for a while there. Would I completely pull myself out of being a fan? No, never. I'm always going to be a Detroit fan, regardless. If I can go through like 5 or 6 or 7 of the last seasons of where no Detroit team even sniffed a playoff, I think I can last for pretty much anything.
If you can be a Lions fan, you can suffer through anything. We all know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so reaching 500 is obviously it's a team thing. What do you put to the most success of you guys being able to reach 500? Would you say the bats, the pitching, coaching? I know it's definitely not your guys' third base coach, because every Tigers fan I've ever talked to cannot stand your guys' third base coach.
So just to touch on that, I would agree. All right, Dave, you'll be able to relate to this. It's like Dan Campbell, very aggressive. You love it if it goes your way, but then as soon as it don't go, like the San Francisco game, you want to hate it. Like our there's a statistic or stuff going on right now about our first to third. Our guys going first to third on singles. We're first in the league. That helps you. Like, so yes, you're gonna get out, but at times it helps us as well. So it's like you can't like it when it works and then not like it when it doesn't work. Yes, yep. I agree. I think he's over aggressive at times, but then it's like, dang, it's worked so many times as well. Like, so it's hard to just say no. So I don't jump on board with that. Now, if it never works, okay, cool. I agree. You know what I'm saying? But to go to your point, your question, I think it's the consistency with the pitching. I think they've kept us in it for so long. I don't know if you would agree, Chris, with our bullpen, our starters get hurt, but Scooble was always a mainstay. Just them being consistent, keeping us in so many games, keeping us there. Because that's another thing too, man. There's a lot of times that our offense literally does not come through to the 7th, to the 8th. We've had 6-run ninth innings to win us the game. Like, but it's the pitching that's kept us in it, I believe.
So in the beginning of the season, through all the way up through to almost the All-Star break, it was the pitching. I mean, the bats were terrible. We were in the bottom of the league in bats and top of the league in pitching. Now, as the young guys have progressed, it's become, and we've had pitchers get hurt. The bullpen has actually done pretty well. Our starters are just fine because we only have like one or two because everybody else is hurt. The bullpen has actually done really well, and our hitting is coming along. So it's kind of a little bit both towards the end of the season. Our saving grace is always going to be our pitching, though. That's our saving grace. And and on the third base core thing, so at the beginning of the season, he had too many. Like he sent the guys too often, and there were more. It was more bad calls than good calls, but it's evened out through the season. And like Richard said, I'm more on board now that he does it because he's a guy that's all in or all out. Because at the beginning of the season, Hinch said that we were going to be very aggressive on the base pass. So at the end of the day, if it's winning us games, I'm good with it. It's when it starts to become they're losing a lot of games because he's making incorrect calls. That's when you got to worry about it. But I'm good right now on it.
I'm the same way. You can be aggressive as long as it's not costing us a game. You know, if say you send a guy from first to home, and it's like the third inning and he's called out at the plate, okay, that's fine. You know, you made a bad judgment call or whatever. But if you do that in the ninth and it costs us a run, you know, and we lose the game because of that one run, then we're going to start having problems. I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I would think there's been a few times recently where I think AJ Hinch has challenged calls that were way too close at the beginning of the game that have cost us later. Because if you lose those challenges, you're done for the game.
Correct. Yeah.
I'd rather use them later in the game because the game's not the game's not on the line in the first 3 or 4, maybe fourth, but the first 3 innings, the game's not on the line. And if it's really close, don't even try it. Just let it go.
Well, another thing too is, you know, no matter the sport, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, every team has to have an identity. Like the Lions' identity, what is it? It's offense, and it's the aggression of Dan Campbell. The players know it. They take it on. They live with it either way. The Tigers, it's their pitching and it's their aggressive base running. You know, so, and how many times have we seen in sports when, you know, reporters, fans, they say, well, what's their identity? What is it? you know, you have to have an identity. And then, like, you know what? I don't care if you're a champion. You know, the Celtics, they were defense. The Chiefs, they were defense. And Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you can go on and on and on about successful teams. You have to have an identity.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. And that's the thing. Now that we do, we can work from there.
Agreed.
That's usually the hardest part of trying to establish a winning culture is establish your identity. And like you said, Chris, once you have your identity established, then you know where to build. And then that's how you eventually become a winning team again. You know?
Because there's general managers and coaches out there that just try to throw a whole bunch of good, like talented players together, and they don't always mesh. So you really got to figure out your team. That's why coaches wear multiple hats. Even though they're a coach, they're more than just that. They have a tough job.
Correct. All right. Well, our next topic that we're going to talk about tonight, you guys kind of referenced him earlier. Ty Madden made his debut. Were you guys pleased?
Hey!
Anything he could work on? What's going on?
My cat just jumped all the way up on my refrigerator, and he has never done that before.
Dang.
He got some springs in his butt. Holy cow. And I want to throw something at him. Oh my God.
Your cat's jumping around like it's a jumble gym. Mine won't shut the heck up.
Oh my God.
Your cat wants to be part of the show there, Rich. He's like, man, I got something to say.
Yeah. Holy cow.
I'm throwing cans of dip at him, and he still won't be quiet.
Ty Madden makes his debut. Okay. I mean, I think his debut was awesome. I think he did well. I mean, he pitched well.
I mean, I thought so to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised because he's been getting battered around in AAA.
Yep.
But we do not know as fans, reporters, media, we don't know the goals that are set for every player. But Hinch always says we have goals for them, whether it's Torque, whether, Ty Mad, all these young players, he always talks about we have goals for them to work on. When they reach that, then we'll advance them. He never shares what goals he has with them. All I can imagine as a fan is going off with what he says, that they reach some type of goal that they set and they get to advance, because they always say when they come up to here, they're still getting worked with, especially Chris Fetter. If he's not the best pitching coach in baseball, he's one of the best. And so now you get that next development, that next part of development, and working with the best pitching coach, and hopefully it takes you over the top. I thought he did fairly well. Gave you 5 innings. Didn't get the win.
Only 1 earned run and 2
Yep.
Yeah. Kept us in the game. I mean, that's really all you want out of your starting pitcher, really, is keep you in the game.
Yep.
Baseball is 9 innings, and sometimes who you're going against as an offense might just be just as tough. So you're trying to get their starting pitcher out the game so you can get to the bullpen or get or hopefully get some, baseball's a whole different monster and strategic moves than other sports. So
Baseball is literally an analytical sport.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right, Dave, because you're playing matchups and and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree.
Chris, any more thoughts on Ty Mad's debut?
I mean, I watched a few innings of his and paid close attention. There was a few times that he got a little wild, got calmed down, and immediately went right back and got a couple of strikes. So he has the ability. Like, he's not going to. He might get shook a little bit, but give him a little, calm him down a little bit, and he can gather himself and he can continue to play and pitch well. So that I like that. I like seeing that. It'd have been different if he'd have went back and just started throwing balls again. I would have completely kind of understood, because of like what Richard said earlier. He'd been getting chewed up in the minors recently, but he didn't. He stuck it out, legged it out, and got a couple of strikeouts. So, I mean, I like his progression. I don't expect him to be up here the whole whole rest of the season, but you never know. I think they're going to rotate a lot of guys in and out so that they can, because once that September call-ups come, we don't have to worry about their time counting against us. So that'll help out a lot.
I think he's due. Wasn't he due up to be a Rule 5 though?
I don't
He
know.
wasn't. I could be wrong. I thought he was though.
A Rule 5 draft.
Yeah, thought you had to put him on.
I'd have to look.
But the thing about coming up from AAA to major leagues is the biggest learning curve for pitchers is what you could get away with in AAA, you can't get away with in the majors. A lot of these pitchers, Scooble had to learn this, and he said it. The stats will back up. When he was in AAA, he was dependent on his fastball. He could just blow it past him. He tried to do that when he came to the major leagues, and he gave up 35 homers. But if you look now, like this year, he's only given up 13. He's learned how to pitch.
Yeah.
And he does. And when he does get in trouble, he gets out of it. He don't get frustrated, and he just keeps pecking away. It's a big difference between AAA and the majors.
Yeah, for both the batter and the pitcher, because batters, when they're down there, they're gonna face a few pitchers that are almost major league ready or on their uprise that have like maybe 3 pitches that are really good, maybe, and occasionally get a guy that has a really high fastball or a very good cutter, a one-off that's really good. But when you get to the majors and you like 70% of the pitchers that you face have 4 pitches and can pitch well, it's a huge difference. It's a giant jump, and people don't realize that. It's the largest jump in the pecking order of levels. And that's the reason why people get sent back down so quickly. It's because you just can't adjust.
And some of them, some of the hitters have a hard time hitting that off-speed stuff.
Yep. Because their timing is so straight and narrow. They can't adjust for timing. It's one rule of thumb, and that's it. So that changes a lot of stuff. Plus, a lot of pitchers there's their sliders and their changeups can dip all the way down to like the low, like the mid 80s, and then their fastball can tip off at almost 100. I mean, that's a 15-mile-an-hour difference. That's huge.
Then you got a guy like Andy Ibanez who absolutely kills lefties. Don't do nothing against righties hardly, but throw a lefty in there, man. It's amazing to me, dude. I've never seen someone kill one side.
Some guys can be so lopsided, it's crazy, but that's the way they are. They see the pitches different.
That's the only reason he got a job in the darn major leagues, because he can kill lefties, man.
He absolutely can. It is crazy like that.
All right. Well, before we move to our next topic, I just want to give a shout out to the 183 people who are currently watching us right now. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us. We're here every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central Time. Correct, Rich?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yeah,
Shout
thanks
out to you
everybody.
guys.
Thanks for viewing us. I mean, we don't do anything but sit and talk baseball. So if we're too dry and boring, just tell us. Give us some ideas of what else we could do. Maybe we can bring in a side story or something. Who knows?
And while you're doing that, please like and subscribe to Detroit Fan Report as well.
Absolutely. The
Check
more we
all
get,
of our
the
other
better.
shows.
The more we get, the better content we can create.
Yep. All right. Well, our next topic, Chris, you kind of alluded to it earlier. September coming and rolling around. Major league teams are allowed to pull up some of younger guys and not have that kind of against their accrued playing time, right? Which works towards arbitration, I guess. Correct. It counts as time served as a major league player. Okay. Well, with that being said, what are some other possible call-ups that could come here in September for you guys? Chris or Rich, go ahead.
There's one guy in particular, Chris knows who I'm going to say, that I really want to see, and that's Andrew Navigado. Dude played 5 years at AA. Only got the call up to AAA this year because he's not on the 40-man roster currently. He only got to AAA because of injuries and call-ups and stuff like that. Has taken advantage of his time. Leads Toledo and home runs, I think batting average, RBIs, runs, stolen. The only one who has more stolen bases than him is Badu. Has played all positions this year except catcher and first base. Another guy, kind of like McKinstry is for us, just does whatever you need of him, whatever you ask for him. And I also got a little personal connection because I seen him play down at AA Erie when they played Richmond in Virginia, and they had got pummeled by the Richmond Squirrels, and he kept by his promise to my daughter, who she was 4 at the time, that he would autograph for her at the end of the game. Came out, smiled, took a picture. So I kind of took a liking to the guy, you know. Just want to see him, man, get rewarded.
What's his primary position?
Short.
Oh, could that be a possible replacement for the GOAT? Shout out to Javi Baez.
Shout out Javi Baez.
Get well soon, bro.
We already got Trey Sweeney, okay? We don't need anybody else, but I definitely would like to have him up here. That's for sure.
Is that your guy, Chris? Is that your guy who you want to see up? Same guy?
No, Trey Sweeney's already with our club.
No, I'm saying who's the guy that you want to see come up in September?
So I'm actually having a tough time deciding on who I'd like. I mean, because there's a lot of guys that I don't think there is the one guy that I actually do like. His name's I think his name's Jose De La Cruz. He's in our minor league system. He's 26.
Is he related to Ellie?
I don't think so. But he's not even in our top 30 prospects, but he's 26 years old. I want to kind of give him a chance and bring him up. Just to say that we tried to get him. I mean, he may not be anything. He only bats like about 253 or something like that. But he's got like 14 home runs. He has some good power. His OPS is only like maybe 700, so it's not even average. But it's just a sympathy call, just to see if he can do anything. But I don't have anybody else that I'm really looking forward to seeing yet because I don't know where they'd fit on the roster. So
I don't think we really all our big prospects that are ready to come up have already come up. Am I wrong?
Justice Bigby is one that I was looking forward to, but I mean his splits aren't that good right now. He's batting okay, I guess. I mean he's batting 275 and with a 737 OPS. It's not too bad. It's not. I mean he's not a power hitter. He's a base hitter. But other than that, I mean we've got everybody up we need. We'll get. The person that will be called up, it'll probably be Parker, or not Parker Meadows, but Malloy. They'll bring him back up. Plus, you also got Casey Mize that's going to come back because he's been injured. So
I think I'm hearing the end of the week for him.
Yeah, they've already got him slated to pitch against the team coming up, like right, I think after Tariq Skubal.
And he's actually had good outings in AAA.
Yes, he has. We might have to get. I don't know how many questions we have or topics we have left, but we only have about 20 more minutes because we have the other. We have the 50-man.
Oh, the 53-man roster show. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that's on after us. So we only get about 20 minutes. So.
Well, all you 196 people watching, be sure to stay tuned after this show because we do have a special reaction show to our 53-man roster. All right.
Yep.
Well, with that being said, let's kind of move on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of agree with you guys that most of your guys' young prospects are already up. You know, with Jace Young, Sweeney, what's his name, Dylan Dillinger. He's already up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know many of your guys' prospects, but I know those are the three that I've seen you guys mention throughout the season.
Ty Madden.
Yep. All right, next topic. Thoughts on you guys' team performances late. You guys are 8-2 over your last 10. One of the hottest teams in baseball, right up there with the latest team with the Braves. They're 8-2 over their last 10. You guys have made quite a jump in the standings from what I've seen. What are you guys' thoughts on your guys' performance lately?
Man,
And is it
I
sustainable?
gotta give a huge shout out to AJ Hinch, man. What he has been able to do, we've kind of like hit it in pieces in this show with the hitting struggling, all our injuries with our pitchers. He always, for the most part, he makes the right calls, man. There's been some times when you'd be like, man, why is he pinch hitting Ibanez for Colt Keith? But it's because it's a right on left and it worked. Or he'll bring in McKinstry. He just pushes them right buttons, man. Sometimes I think he leaves, but a starter in or a pitcher too long. But man, it's so hard to nitpick a guy and 80% of what he does works. He's very good at lineups. He's a very good manager, man. And especially with young guys. He's done it with Houston.
Yeah, put that drum in the tunnel.
Wow. Woo, let's not bring any of that up. We don't need any of that negativity here.
Hey, it's not negativity. They won a World Series. Ain't nothing negative about it. Man, something about people in Michigan, bro. They just like to be cheating, man. I don't know what it is. But anyway.
It ain't cheating. But anyways, I think he's done a really good job, man. And I think he deserves his flowers, man. And if this team happens to make the playoffs an outside chance, I think you have to consider him for AL Manager of the Year.
Yeah,
that's a bold prediction.
Well, I mean, so I look at it. See, I think I see like when you give awards out and stuff like that. I look at it at a different perspective. So like most people are like, well, if we just gave Manager of the Year to the best record in baseball, that would be too easy. It would be just like, okay, cool. But if a manager has all his pieces from the year before and he had already done it last year, why would he be manager this year? Because he has the same stuff. He should be able to produce what he did. It's what you're working with versus how your team performs is how I would see manager of the year. Because if your team is okay and you're able to make it to the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs, that's a manager of the year quality because he's helped them come along. That's how I see it. So I don't think it's a bold prediction. If they were to make the playoffs and let's say they make it past the wild card, hypothetically, who else could have done that much with so little?
I can relate to that because I can say the same thing about Brian Snicker in Atlanta. We've been bit by the injury bug super hard this year, and we're still right there in the wild card. So I totally understand making the most out of what you have. Basically, you got to be the greatest puzzle piece player in the world. You know what I mean? You got to be able to put a puzzle together with half the pieces missing. And still make it a good picture. So
I mean, that's a manager. You're really having to work. I mean, you got 2 starters. You got all these bullpen days. You got Torkelson going down, Parker Meadows down. These are 2 guys that were supposed to be big part of your major league team. They're going down. They're struggling. Riley Green gets hurt. Kerry Carpenter. You know what I'm saying? But let's just keep on going. Like you said, the break. Acuna gets hurt. I'll buy. Just all these pit. That's a manager because he's just having to deal with all these different things. Okay, well, now I got to make this work. I got to make this work. And then you succeed with it. Doing your job.
That is very hard to do. So I absolutely agree. If he's there now, once again, if we don't make the playoffs, I absolutely understand why they wouldn't even consider him because that's just it. More often than not, if you make the playoffs, those are the managers that are going to get consideration for manager of the year. That's just the way it is, and I understand that. But yeah, I want to move on to the next topic, I guess.
All right. So, well, I've talked about this guy quite a bit. I call him, Hall of Famer, minor leaguer, because I didn't think he was going to get called back up to you guys this year at all. And I remember a couple times hearing you guys saying you didn't really want him to come back up either, finish the season in the minors, blah, blah, blah. But, we'll call this segment Torque Bomb because he's back up here. And, how do you guys think he's done since he came back, Mr. Minor League Hall of Famer himself?
Hey. As somebody on Twitter said, I don't know who it was, they call him the 4A player because it's instead of AAA, it's quadruple A because it's not quite the majors. So they call him a 4A player.
I like that. That's funny.
I think he's done great. Since he's come back, what was it? I had his numbers. He was batting 300, 299 or something like that. Some crazy numbers for him because he's never accomplished that feat. But
he just went yard again tonight, according to Rich.
Yes, he did. So he's batting well. He's well, let me get those numbers real quick if you want to talk, Richard.
So, the show before he got called up, it was a couple of days late, a day or two later, he had got called up. I had said, remember, and I kind of made you jump on board, Chris, because I had said, let's bring him up. Let's see what we got for next year. Is he the guy going to next year? Do we got to go get somebody else? What do we got to do? I was wanting him to come up for that. I think since he's come up, I seen a smile. It looks like a guy who doesn't have the stress on him no more, which, that helps because you're not in your own head. He's back up with his buddy Riley Green. which Riley went down there with him, when on his rehab and had some time because, they came up through the minor league system together. And it's been well known that they're very good friends. They've grown up together literally. And, so it's the smile. It's him using the whole field. I mean, he still pulls the ball, but he's still getting his singles and stuff to right and center field. That was one thing that Miguel Cabrera tried to work on him with. And that's when he had that big year last year was using the whole field because that's what Miggy was good at, using the whole field. I think his batting approach is better. He's taking the base on balls. He's not swinging at the bad pitches. And, he has a couple struggles at defense he did last night, but I think he's very good at the picks and stretching. I think he's good. A pretty, average first baseman, maybe slightly above average. I'm happy for the kid. I really am, man. I just want to see him succeed, man.
Yeah, so I just went over the numbers, and in the month of, it's basically August, but since he's been called up on the 17th, he's gone from a 201 batting average to a 220. Now, to most people, 19 points isn't that big of a deal, but it is just late in the season. And he's got enough at-bats now where it doesn't change very often. So he's batted 333 for the month or since he's been called up, and his OPS is 1,039. That's crazy.
Damn, that's insane.
He's doing very well. Yeah, he's moved his OPS from a 597 up to a 662, which, I mean, granted, he's still not an average for the season, but he's on.
That's still a big jump in his numbers.
It is. He's only had 2 home runs, 3 now for tonight, but he's hitting well, and that's what we need.
Well, he's got 7 extra base hits in his 11 games up too, which he was
nice.
getting the doubles before he went down. But to get the double, he's getting the doubles and the home runs now.
Yep.
I'm very pleased. Well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Next topic, one of our last topics. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. One of our last topics here is, and you guys have kind of talked about it here, with you guys being so hot lately, being 8-2 over your last 10. You think this can be done? You think you can make a push for the final wild card spot? Yeah, me being an outsider looking at it.
So
I think it can be done. I think you guys have to get hot.
Right now, we're at 3.5% as a playoff possibility to 4%, like right there. That's only that takes into account for all the teams, their schedules, all that good stuff. I'm not worried about the percentages. I just want to take it game by game. I would say if by next week at this time, if we're within 4 games, 4.5 games, maybe even in the 3 category, I'm having high hopes. I'm having really high hopes because that Boston series is going to be really big for us because that's the main competitor ahead of us. Is because we don't play anybody other than the Royals that we play at the closer to the end of the season. Boston's the only other team that's ahead of us that we play. So that's a big. Yeah, they are. So we need to get to that point. Now, mind you, I think we're only 9, maybe 8 games out of the Central Division. So if we can get, if we can get within in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, if we can get within 5 games of that, anything's possible. Especially with those 3 last games when we play the White Sox. We play the White Sox the last 3 games. Never assume anything, but we just swept them. So those are 3 good games where if we need them to do anything at the end of the season, those are positive games that we have.
Well, you got
what the heck? What happened to Day Day? What happened to your dad, man?
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I know, huh?
We got Mize getting healthy. He's about due back.
Sorry about that.
I haven't really heard about Reese. But if he were to come back, man, there's some guys you got coming at the end to help, man. Anything's possible.
Here's a question for you, real quick, since how we're getting to the end here. Here's a thought. Do you let's say there's 3 games left in the season, okay?
There you go.
And depending on where, even let's say Tariq Skubal just pitched the previous series. You need those last 3 games. Do you pitch Tariq Skubal on short rest to get into the playoffs if that's possible?
Absolutely.
And because we're only going to have a couple, we'll probably have Casey Mize. Do you pitch those 3, Kyler Montero, Tariq Skubal, and Casey Mize? Let's say they're on short rest. Do you pitch all of them?
So I actually, if it was me, I'd ask Tariq what he wants to do. Because, up to this year, like he's setting career highs in everything that he's done, man.
Yeah.
So I would ask him how he feels, but just from listening to him, I think he probably would. But I think that's the thing. I was thinking about this today while I was working is not only are these young guys coming up, but they got an advantage, guys. They're on a winning team right now. So they're not only they're learning how to win now. They're not just coming up to the White Sox or, a team or the,
they beat the Yankees. They beat the Yankees.
Marlins.
They beat the Yankees 2 out of 3 at the All-Star break. Like, what are we talking about?
So they're getting positive. They're playing and they're winning.
Yeah.
Like, that is great, man.
Yeah. It's good. It's good for the players, too. They get that emotional high. So it's cool to feel the winning. I mean, what are we? We're on a 5 or 6 game win streak right now. And who knows? Maybe we'll win tonight as well. But, yeah.
But they're experiencing late season baseball at its finest.
Yeah, it's nice, and I'm sure. I mean, it brings more people out to the game too. It gives us a better aura for Comerica Park to have a crowd.
We gonna do our player of the week before we.
Yes, sir. That's what I was just getting ready to say. All right, player of the week. Who you guys got?
Go ahead. You want to go, Chris? You want me to go?
No, you go first.
I'm going to go with Parker Meadows, man.
Okay.
With what he's been doing defense, I just seen a stat today. The Tigers, with him in the lineup, they're 38-16.
Wow.
That's good.
He is he's kind of like how I said about McKinstry, but he's more valuable because he's an everyday. With the way he plays for center field, his speed, and when he runs, it's like a gazelle, man. He don't look like he's running fast, but he gets that extra bases, steal bases. He's had some hit. He's another one that since he's come back, his batting average has gone from below 200. I just put it in the chat the other day. His numbers have skyrocketed since he's came back, man. So shout out to Parker, man.
Shout out Parker Meadows.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris, your player of the week before we get out of here?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with I was tossing up between Torkelson and Colt Keith, and I think I'm going to take Colt Keith. I did want to come out and say Torque so I can say that I'm off the bandwagon of keeping him in the minors, but I'm going to go with Colt Keith. I think he's done pretty well in the last week. With both his play defensively and his at the plate being patient and getting the hits when they counted. Yeah, definitely Colt Keith.
Yeah, he was getting 2 or more hits there for he had a nice little streak going.
Yeah, I liked it. So yeah, definitely him.
He's another one. His batting average was like in the 200 mark in the beginning of the year. Now it's creeping up towards 270.
Yeah. I wanted to see that too because I didn't check it. I was checking how well he did for the last month, but I didn't see how it's been creeping up. Yeah, I wanted to see that real quick.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Well, Chris pulls that up. Just want to take you guys, the 237 that are in here, to stay tuned here in the next, we'll probably start our next show in probably next 10, 15 minutes after we get off here. It's our 53-man roster show reaction show, excuse me. Feel free to join in, drop your comments and all that. Give us your thoughts on the roster. But Chris, did you pull up what you were looking for?
Yeah, I did. So he started the month of August at a 255. He's up to 260, and probably by the end of the night he'll probably be closer to 270. That's a huge jump. He's batted 304 for the month of August, but he started, and I'm scrolling all the way down. We all know what kind of July he had. He had a 322 July, which is crazy. But yeah, he started the season with like a 220 batting average. So yeah, 220 to almost a 260. That's great.
A lot of teams would take that. A lot of teams would take that jump.
Yeah. Just shows his progression over that course of that time. But Tori, quit asking for Jason Foley, man.
You just did.
All right, you guys. Well, thank everybody for tuning in. This has been the Central Crown, episode 9.
Thank you.
Feel free to, all 237 of you. And we'll see you next week. This is Day. I'm your host of the Central Crown. I'll let the guys carry themselves out.
Richard, you can catch me on X at Riggs928.
You can catch me on X. I'm Chris. I'm Crazy Hockey Fan. Also on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and everything else.
All right. There you have it, guys. We'll catch you guys next week.